This the book of 2nd Exodus, chapter 9, and verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world that he made. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Ka Loi Mla Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone rule, have been a great example to the young brothers in the truth, and peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. And Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson. And we're going to get straight into it. Ain't going to be that long, but Lord willing, it's edifying.
So listen to this. Scientists studying the Earth's stratosphere made a surprising discovery. Strange, unexplained sounds. Listen. So those strange, unexplained sounds were detected when scientists sent giant solar balloons 70,000 feet up in the air to the stratosphere, which, as everyone knows, is the second layer of Earth's atmosphere and contains the ozone layer. Researchers will continue to investigate the sounds and try to determine where those rumblings originated. Scientists hope that these balloons could one day be used to explore other planets, including Venus.
And they not. This the book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 19. And I will shew wonders in heavens above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, and vapor of smoke. So all these different things that we see going on in the atmosphere, in the outer space, in the skies, they are signs. Not everything, but a lot of the stuff as far as the auroras and shit like that, them getting different signals supposedly coming from other planets and, different stuff like that. Those are signs from the Lord. That's the Lord beginning to visit the world that he made. That's the Lord visiting this place, showing signs. The scripture tell you in Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, Sirach, chapter 36, if I ain't mistaken, shoot new signs, and make other strange wonders. So these different signs are happening, and Esau know these different signs. Esau seen things he'll never put out, and got signs that he'll never tell the public, directly from the angel of the Lord, different things to happen, messages that he received.
I thought the sounds, Kate, sounded more like Duran Duran than Depeche Mode.
Dr. Brown, thanks so much for your time. Firstly, can I start actually with that question, about what exactly it is, this magnetic North Pole? And there was a lot of articles this time last year alarming us that it was moving more rapidly and changing direction.
NASA says the North Pole is actually moving.
That's right. Scientists say the Earth's magnetic North Pole is shifting.
And that's another sign, these different shifts, these different things, because the Lord said he created the bounds of the sea. How much more anything else that go on in the earth, as far as say the magnetic, the North Pole is shifting, or earthquake or anything to happen in the earth. The Lord sanctioned those things. The Lord caused different things of that nature to happen.
That the movement is generated by the Earth's core, which is thousands of kilometers under our feet. But what impacts it? What do you see as the reason for this movement and switch in direction?
So yes, it has moved since about 1860. It's moved about 2,500 kilometers. But in fact, the thing that's been quite interesting is that since the 1990s, it's really sped up very much, as you alluded to.
Well, this morning we are learning about a shift in the Earth's inner core that sounds like the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster. Scientists say our planet's solid core, which is actually disconnected from the rest of the Earth's layers, may actually have stopped rotating and could even reverse course. This is a new study. It was published Monday. But I read that this happens every 70 years, so we don't need to be alarmed?
That's right. The bad news is that we know very little about the core of the Earth.
And how do they listen to what they finna say, Salaki?
So listen to this.
Like it. Listen to what they finna say. How do you know if you only been studying?
But
how
I
you
read
know?
that.
How do you know this occur only every 70 years, whatever they say? If you ain't been studying it that long. So basically, your first time studying it wasn't that long ago. So how you know that occur every 70 years? You know? Or are these signs from the Lord? And we know that they are signs from the Lord, man. You know?
This happens every 70 years, so we don't need to be alarmed?
That's right. The bad news is that we know very little about the core of the earth, very little about what's underneath our feet.
Yeah, and they know very little about the earth, the core of the earth. They know very little about the ocean. They know very little about outer space. You know? Why? Because they have bounds that they cannot pass, according to Job. The Lord have set bounds that they cannot pass. But I'm going to get this in Jeremiah. This Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 34. And it reads, not 34. This Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 36, 35. So like it say, thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If this ordinance depart from me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So we know that the nation of Israel is still in the midst of the earth due to, these different ordinances still being before the Lord. The sun, the moon, the stars, the oceans, and, all these different things that was set up. Why? Because, that's how we know that the Lord, that's how we know that the Lord has not done away with his people. And if you read up above it, the Lord was going into, he gonna make a new covenant. Going into the new covenant, he gonna make with the house of Israel, not all nations. He say the house of Israel. We read up a couple verses, But that's how we know we still here. The Israelites are still here in the earth today, because these ordinances are before the Lord, and that's how we know the Lord still dealing with his people. This back in Jeremiah 31 in verse 37, it reads, thus saith the Lord, if heaven can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. And we know these things can't be accomplished. These things. Hey, be quiet. These things can't be accomplished. Like it. Everybody stop. So the nation of Israel is still here. We are the Israelites, and the Lord getting ready to deliver the remnant. Because 2/3 gonna be caught up and put to death on this side. Why? Because they're gonna choose the God of this world rather than choose Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. How you gonna choose the God of this world when that hour of temptation come? When you tempted with that MOTB, which is an actual physical thing that they want to put underneath your skin. That subdermal device, that NFC RFID, technology they want to insert in you, man. And ultimately you have people who died, who are already dead, so to speak, who are part of the 2/3, not a part of the elect. who ain't gonna be faced with that. But guess what? They chose not to turn back to the Lord. They chose not to fear the Lord. They ain't worship and serve Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, in their lifetime. But the elect, they gonna turn back to the Lord and they gonna worship the Lord. And they not gonna receive that MOTB, mark of the beast. They not gonna receive that unto death, and the scriptures say that. But 2/3 of our people gonna receive and they are gonna be destroyed. But the nation of Israel gonna still remain. Why? Because the Lord gonna deliver 1/3 and 144,000 men. And even when this destruction come, the earth is not gonna be destroyed forever. The scripture tell you that the earth abide forever. So we know that's not gonna happen. But that was pretty much the point on that. But I'm gonna get this on 1 Timothy 6:20. It say, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babbling and oppositions of science falsely so called." And that's why we don't trust no goddamn science, man. Why? Because these devils don't be knowing what the hell they be talking about. Listen at this man. I'm pretty sure it's a doctor or a scientist or some shit. A professor of the radical physics.
The good news is probably.
This is a new study. It was published Monday. But I read that this happens every 70 years, so we don't need to be alarmed.
That's right. The bad news is that we know very little about the core of.
And that's that Jeremiah 20. Jeremiah 31 and so like I'm talking about Jeremiah 20. That's Jeremiah 31 and verse 35 down. They know very little about the core of the earth. They know very little about underneath the oceans. They know very little about outer space, man. Why? Because the Lord have bounds that they can't pass.
The earth, very little about what's underneath our feet. The good news is probably there's nothing to worry about, in the sense that roughly every 70 years or so, we're not sure, the center of the earth does seem to go backwards. If this is the core, this is the crust of the earth that we live on.
Yes.
This is the core of the earth. The core could move independently of the crust. That's the key.
And the thing is, how do you know that the core of the earth even look like that? How do you know if you never been down there? You never been that deep. These devils don't know, man. Here it is. You never been to the bottom of the ocean. How the hell you gonna make it to the core of the earth, man? How you gonna know the inner workings of these things are above the strength of man? Even our strength, man. We ain't got the knowledge and the wisdom. We ain't opened up to how the earth actually is made from the inner core all the way to the outer, man. All we know is what we see on surface level, man, of what this devil done done, and not everything he say he did, but what he done done, the farthest extent he done went, man. Because he only got so far he can go. He ain't never been to know all these different layers of the earth, man, as he got diagrammed out, nigga. And this Moab, that's why the Lord gonna destroy all these heathen, man.
The part we're on never moves in reverse.
Yeah, so the core of the earth sits in a pool of like molasses, and it's able to spin independently of the crust of the earth. So, in other words, don't lose any sleep over this. Probably it's a natural cycle. It takes place probably once every 70 years or so. But we need more data because this is new territory for us.
Yeah, why do we need to know? I mean, they spent a lot of time, they studied earthquakes back to the 60s. Why is it important to know more about this? What are the implications?
The implications are potentially enormous because think of continental drift.
Sure.
Why are the continents moving away from each other? What is driving it? And also earthquakes, the whole nature.
And what drove continents to move away from each other how they is the flood. And the Lord finna rearrange the continents and make the earth gonna look totally different after all this rocking to and fro, man. All this fire that's gonna consume Babylon after the Lord dry up the waters. He gonna dry all the waters up, but everything around America gonna be evaporating like a motherfucker, getting burnt. The elements gonna melt with fervent heat. So if some of the water's gonna disappear and melt with fervent heat, the Lord is finna bring some terrible fire to this place, man. Is it gonna dry the ocean completely up? Heavens no. But is the Lord gonna rearrange the earth is the point. And yes, he is, man. But that's pretty much the point. Let me see.
Sure, of the stability of the planet itself. We know very little about what's underneath our feet.
Yep. And that's the scripture. You know, they gonna always know only very little. You know, a lot of these things are for the, the men of the Lord to know when we in rulership underneath Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. You know, that's when we'll know how these things were made. You know, how the earth was formed in its entirety. What's at the very core of the earth. Which, can it be a flame, a fire? Possibly, because the Lord's spirit is in all things, and it's a flame within us that keep us alive. And the earth is a living organism, really, when you look at it. When you look at the ecosystem and all these different things, you know, all work to the benefit of another, you know. On down to the germs, the plankton, the very small things, to humans, to certain to all animals, to all, insects, all birds, all aquatic life, you know. It all make the earth thrive, you know. But that's pretty much the point. Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to end to giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Quadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders. A great millstone rule, we've been a great example to his young brothers in the truth. Peace and blessings to the whole elect. Shalom. Kwam Yashala and the Baba. Shalom.